If it isn't allowed in the streets, it shouldn't be allowed on the net.
We have a group, a hardcore small group of individuals amongst that who will lie, who will menace, who will bully.
We know they're becoming bolder, and a lot of what they're posting is becoming much more sinister. Nobody who's suffered such a tragedy in their lives should have to cope with that on their own.
The audience that some of them need is actually from the dock in court, so they can be held to account for the things which they have done.
This woman uses Twitter to attack the parents of Madeleine McCann. On the internet, she's anonymous. Not anymore.
Well, I'm just about to go out.
So we caught you. Can we talk to you about your Twitter handle and your attacks on the McCanns?
No.
Why are you attacking them so regularly?
Look, I'm just going out with a friend, okay?
But why are you using your Twitter account to attack the McCanns?
I'm entitled to do that.
You know, you've been reported to the police, to Scotland Yard. They're considering a whole file of Twitter accounts and what supporters say is a campaign of abuse against the McCanns.
Okay, well, I'm going out.
The Crown Prosecution Service are considering it. Are you worried about that?
No.
On Twitter, she uses the name Sweepy Face and a profile picture of a pet. She tweets many times a day, and mostly about the McCanns. In one message, she spread rumours about the couple's marriage. In another, she hoped Madeleine's parents would suffer forever. But Sweepy Face is not the worst. Almost from the day Madeleine vanished 7 years ago, her family have been targeted with vile messages on the internet.
Words cannot describe the anguish and despair.
Many cannot forgive her parents, Kate and Jerry McCann, for leaving Madeleine and her twin siblings alone in bed while they had dinner nearby. Some have urged violence against the parents. Others have gone even further, offering support for anyone who is prepared to seriously harm the McCanns.
Everyone's entitled to an opinion. Everyone's entitled to state that. But when it becomes grossly offensive, when it becomes menacing, when it's causing anxiety and distress, when it's done for that purpose, then there must be a criminal justice intervention. And this has gone on for too long. And let me say this, if this was a high profile, celebrity or other individual that was, something would be done about it by now.
A dossier containing evidence of hundreds of malicious and threatening internet postings has been sent to the Commissioner of Scotland Yard. It calls for a police clampdown on the online abuse. It's been compiled by a group of web users appalled at the attacks on the McCanns. The Metropolitan Police told the group, "This material has now been forwarded to us here at the Operational Investigation Team dealing with the disappearance of Madeleine McCann, Operation Grange. In consultation with the Crown Prosecution Service and the McCann family, the material will now be assessed and decisions made as to what further action, if any, should be undertaken." The woman who organised the dossier said she contacted police because the abuse was getting worse and internet service providers refused to help stop it. Because she's so worried about her own safety, we have hidden her identity and dubbed her voice. She also fears for the McCanns.
We're talking about materials which are libellous, completely untrue. Lots of photoshopped images of the McCanns, very cruel in nature, offensive. And we were getting nowhere by reporting it to the sites. And as it steadily got worse, we were finding people going online who were claiming to live near the McCanns. We're very worried that it's only going to take somebody to act out some of these discussions. Some of the threats have been made, and we couldn't live with ourselves if that happened and we'd done nothing.
A photograph of Madeleine's twin siblings was posted online after the McCann family were caught on a TV camera at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow this summer, we have obscured the children's faces. It prompted a discussion about the twins. One commentator described the colour of their hair. Another questioned their safety. The twins are now 9 years old, and as their parents have said, they're beginning to use the internet. Another social media outlet for the McCann attackers is Facebook, with sites that appear to have been set up as platforms for criticism and accusations. This site boasts more than 24,000 members. Another site has 34,000. A recent book about the Madeleine McCann case explored the online abuse. It provoked a campaign to flood the Amazon website with negative reviews in a bid to limit the book's sales.
Our book documents the fact that over the last 7 years, a core group of people has perpetuated the idea that the McCanns had something to do with their daughter's disappearance. These people give legitimacy to the online nuts and trolls and haters, people who just want to sit behind their computers and spread venom. And they do. And the new dossier that's been sent to the Met is actually frightening in that it suggests action against family members, it suggests stalking of family members. It's pretty extreme.
In the past, Kate and Jerry McCann have refused to comment on the online abuse they suffer because they didn't want to fuel it. They've long been aware of their critics in the UK, Portugal and beyond. But there's evidence that some of their attackers are much nearer to their home in Rothley in Leicestershire. The dossier includes Twitter postings that suggest some people have been physically close to the couple. Tweets allege sightings of them at their local gym, the post office and a clothes shop. One tweeter wrote that he was trying to find Kate McCann.
If the Metropolitan Police haven't already begun an investigation into this on the back of letters or complaints that they've received, I think they now need to pause. They need to take a long look at it. They need to reflect on the legislation that exists to deal with this under the Communications Act, Malicious Communications Act and Prevention of Harassment Act. And they need to look at the hardcore few who are being menacing, who are being malign, who are creating anxiety deliberately. I don't want to give this small, malign and malicious group a larger audience than they have. I think the audience that some of them need is actually from the dock in court so they can be held to account for the things which they have done, and that will send a strong message to many others. The internet is not anonymous. The police have the ability to identify the individuals that are doing this.
Some antagonists specialise in manipulating photographs to attack the McCanns. A common theme is the accusation that Madeleine's parents have cashed in on their daughter's disappearance, using for themselves the thousands of pounds raised by the Madeleine Fund. This example shows how an innocent original image was doctored to ridicule the McCanns. Others make their own spoof videos and post them online. A DVD of the worst has been handed to police. This is the dossier that's been sent to the Commissioner at Scotland Yard, all 67 pages of it. The letter that went with it urged detectives to take urgent action. They say it demonstrates an organised campaign of abuse, intimidation and threats against the McCann family. The group argues that if these so-called internet trolls formed a mob and shouted their abuse at their targets in the street, then the police would intervene. There are those on Twitter who believe they are beyond the law. Some troll victims like MP Stella Creasy have got justice. A man who used Twitter to threaten her with rape was jailed this week. Another man who targeted stabbed Leeds schoolteacher Anne Maguire was also imprisoned. He used Facebook to say he was glad she'd died. And when Liverpool footballer Mario Balotelli suffered racial abuse on Twitter, Merseyside police launched an investigation straight away.
I think a lot of them don't realise what they're getting into. A lot of them are just random, transient people who just post a comment and join in with discussions, but there's a hardcore group who've been there from the beginning. So if the technology is there to deal with them, why can't they not apply that to one of the worst cases of cyberbullying we've come across?
Come in, Martin.
Yeah?
Come in.
Okay, thank you.
After our initial exchange with Sweepy Face, she invited us in. Off camera, she explained more about the anonymous tweets she sends from the heart of this pretty village. She had questions for the McCanns. She believed Twitter was a vehicle for expressing those thoughts. She will probably never tweet again. She hoped she hadn't broken the law. Sweepy Face and the many others whose comments have been recorded may find that Scotland Yard will take a different view. Martin Brunt, Sky News.